Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
I am.
Today we're getting really, really tiny.
Microscopic.
Yeah, microscopic. Zooming in on how those little tablets,
Those pills.
those pills in your medicine cabinet are actually made.
Mm-hmm.
I think you'll be surprised by how much,
How much science and engineering?
how much goes on.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. For something so seemingly simple, right?
Right, and that's what's so interesting about it, I think. You know, most people just kind of take a pill without even thinking about it.
Totally.
But there's a whole world of chemistry and engineering, as you said, behind it.
Absolutely.
Our source material today, this lecture by Dr. Tamer H. Hassan,
Yes.
really takes us through the whole process, from the raw ingredients
The whole shebang.
all the way to the final quality checks.
You know, one of the things that really jumped out at me
Mhm.
was this whole idea of inactive ingredients.
Oh, yeah.
The excipients.
The excipients, yeah.
I just kind of thought of them as just filler.
Oh, right.
But there's so much more than that.
Absolutely, they're essential.
They are.
You know, I always think of them like the supporting cast in a movie.
Ooh,
They might not be the stars, but the whole production falls apart without them.
I love that.
Yeah.
So let's break down the supporting cast list then.
Right.
We've got bulking agents, binders, lubricants.
A long list.
It's a pretty long list.
It is.
And each one has a very specific role to play.
Right, yeah. So, like, take bulking agents, for example. Those are the fillers that basically give the tablet its size and shape.
Okay.
So, you know, if the dose of the active drug is really small, you need something to bulk it up so it's actually, you know, a reasonable size to swallow.
Right.
Like lactose, starch, microcrystalline cellulose. Those are common ones.
Okay, so that's why some pills are so big, even if they just have a tiny bit of medicine in them.
Exactly.
It's like the difference between a shot of espresso and then like a giant latte.
I like that.
Same caffeine kick, but very different volumes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you need, just like you need something to hold that latte together in the cup,
Right.
you need binders to hold all the ingredients of a tablet together.
Okay.
They're like the glue of the pharmaceutical world.
Okay, and I'm guessing there are different types of glue for different types of...
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
So some binders, you know, they dissolve in water like gelatin or starch paste, but others they dissolve in alcohol like polyvinyl pyrrolidone, which is really handy for drugs that are sensitive to moisture.
So you got to kind of match the binder to the specific needs of the drug.
It's all about customization.
Yeah, it's very customized. And then you have lubricants, which you were saying is like maybe the most interesting part of this whole...
Oh, I think so.
Really? Okay, yeah.
I'm all ears.
All right, so you see, lubricants, they do more than just reduce friction during manufacturing.
Okay.
They also prevent the tablets from sticking to the machinery.
They ensure that the powdered ingredients flow smoothly. And they even help the tablet release from the dies and punches that are used to compress it.
Oh, okay.
But here's the kicker. Too little lubricant can be a problem,
Okay.
but too much can be even worse.
Wait, too much lubricant is a bad thing.
It can be. Imagine like adding way too much butter to a cookie recipe.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it'll change the texture.
It'll get all crumbly.
Yeah, it might get all crumbly. It might not bake properly.
Right.
It's kind of similar with lubricants and tablets.
Okay.
Too much can make the tablet too soft. It can affect how it breaks apart.
Interesting.
And it can even slow down the release of the drug.
Wow. So it was like a Goldilocks situation.
Yeah.
Not too much, not too little.
Just the right amount.
Just right. I had no idea there was so much finesse involved in making a little...
There is.
Oh.
And it's not just the amount, but also the order in which you add the lubricants.
Oh, interesting.
You know, mixing them in at the wrong stage can interfere with other excipients.
Okay.
Like disintegrants.
Speaking of disintegrants,
Yes.
these are the ones that ensure the tablet breaks apart in your system.
Right.
Like kind of undoing the work of the binder.
They counteract those binding forces. They allow the drug to be released and absorbed by the body.
So you swallow a tablet,
Yeah.
it reaches your stomach,
Right.
and then the disintegrants kick in.
They get to work,
Oh, okay.
breaking it down so the medicine can do its thing.
So like some of them, like starch, they just swell up when they get wet.
That's right, yeah.
Hmm.
So starch,
Mm.
it swells up on contact with water.
Okay.
But then you've got other ones, like microcrystalline cellulose. They create, like, channels for the water to penetrate the tablet.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's like choosing the right demolition team.
Right.
Some use explosives, some use precision tools.
I like that. I like that analogy.
And then you have those super disintegrants, right?
Oh, yeah, the super disintegrants.
which Dr. Hassan was talking about.
Those are really neat.
Yeah.
They work at incredibly low concentrations
Wow.
and can disintegrate a tablet in seconds.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. We're talking like modified starches like sodium starch glycolate,
Hmm.
cross-linked polymers like cross-povidone and cross-carmelis.
I'm starting to see how much goes into making even a simple pill work effectively.
Yeah, it's a lot.
But we've only talked about functionality so far.
Right.
Like, nobody wants to swallow something that tastes awful.
No, no.
So how do you deal with, like, flavoring agents and things like that?
Right, so that's especially important, obviously, for things like chewable tablets.
Yeah.
But it can be a little bit tricky
Okay.
because, oils, which are often used for flavoring,
Mm.
they can actually interfere with the tablet's structure
Oh, interesting.
and its stability.
So it's like adding flavor to a very delicate souffle.
Ooh, that's a good way.
If you add too much, the whole thing collapses.
Exactly, exactly. That's why dry flavors are often preferred.
Okay.
And just like with the coloring agents, the amount of flavoring that you add is carefully controlled
Okay.
because too much can actually affect the tablet's shelf life.
It's all about balance, isn't it?
It is.
You got to make sure it functions properly,
Mm-hmm.
it tastes decent,
Yeah.
and then it stays stable over time.
Exactly.
But what about sweeteners? I mean, like, some things need to be sweetened, right?
Oh, for sure.
Especially if they're, like, chewable tablets.
Well, especially, yeah, for chewable tablets and oral solutions,
Mhm.
particularly for kids' medication.
Right, right.
Sucrose or table sugar,
Mm-hmm.
it's a classic choice.
Yeah.
But it can be a little bit problematic because it tends to absorb moisture from the air.
So the tablet would get sticky.
It can get sticky or even start to break down.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not good. So alternatives like saccharin and aspartame are
Mhm.
often used.
Okay.
Saccharin is much sweeter than sucrose, but it can have a sort of bitter aftertaste.
Yeah, I know that taste.
Yeah. And then aspartame, it's good for people with diabetes,
Right.
but it's not as stable in the presence of moisture.
So each sweetener has its own, like, pros and cons?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it really comes down to choosing the right tool for the job,
Oh.
considering the specific drug and what you want the final product to be like.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered bulking agents, binders, lubricants, disintegrants, coloring agents, flavorings, sweeteners.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we're racking up quite the list here.
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
Yeah.
But we've got a few more.
Oh, okay. What else? What else is in this world of excipients?
So you also have absorbents and adsorbents.
Okay.
Now, those are all about managing moisture,
Okay.
especially for ingredients that are sensitive to humidity.
Okay.
Think of them like tiny sponges,
Okay.
keeping everything nice and dry and stable.
I like that.
So colloidal silicon dioxide,
Mm.
magnesium carbonate are good examples.
Okay. And then you have wetting agents.
Oh, yeah. Wetting agents.
Mm-hmm.
Those are particularly useful for drugs that don't dissolve easily.
Okay.
So they help the drug dissolve more rarely in your digestive system,
Okay.
and that makes it more bioavailable.
Oh, I've heard that term.
Yeah, so basically it means that your body can absorb and use the drug more effectively.
Got it.
Yeah, sodium lauryl sulfate is a common one.
So it's like adding a little soap to help the medicine mix with water.
I like that. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it.
Okay, it's amazing how each excipient has its own unique role to play.
Right. It's a team effort.
It's a team effort.
Yeah.
It's like a perfectly choreographed dance, I imagine,
Yeah.
with every ingredient like moving in sync
Uh-huh.
to make sure the medicine gets delivered effectively.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
But there's one more type of excipient that I think deserves a little spotlight.
Okay, bring it on. What is it?
Polymers for controlled release.
Ooh, yes.
Controlled release.
That's all about regulating how quickly the drug is released into the body.
Exactly.
So then you might only need to take a pill once a day instead of 3 times a day.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so by incorporating these specific polymers into the tablet,
Okay.
manufacturers can create formulations that release the drug gradually over time.
Okay.
And that can do all sorts of things. It can improve patient compliance,
Right.
reduce side effects,
Mm-hmm.
even enhance the drug's overall effectiveness.
Interesting.
So some examples are ethyl cellulose, carboxymethylcellulose,
Mm.
and cellulose acetate phthalate.
So instead of a sudden burst of medication,
Yeah.
it's more like a slow and steady stream, keeping
Exactly.
the drug levels more consistent
Right,
in your body.
exactly. And that kind of leads into our next point,
Mm.
which is this idea of making sure that all the ingredients in a tablet, play nicely together.
Compatibility.
Right, compatibility, exactly.
So this whole idea of controlled release, it really highlights, I think, the level of precision involved in this whole tablet making process.
Yeah.
And that makes me think about all the testing
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes into making sure each pill is safe and effective.
It's like a final exam,
Yeah,
for the tablet, making sure it's ready to graduate into your medicine cabinet.
I like that.
And it all starts with something that might seem a little basic.
Okay.
General appearance.
So it's not just about making the tablets look pretty.
No, not exactly. While aesthetics do play a role,
Right.
general appearance is more about consistency
Mm-hmm.
and meeting those quality standards.
Right.
Like imagine you open a bottle of pills,
Yeah.
and some are white, some are yellow, some are speckled.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, that would kind of make you wonder.
I would be a little suspicious.
Right.
Yeah, like what's going on here?
What's going on exactly? It's like, buying a box of chocolates
Yeah.
and finding some are misshapen or have like different colored coatings.
You'd think something's wrong.
Yeah, you'd wonder what else is going on behind the scenes.
That's it. Right.
So size, shape, color, even the surface texture.
Mm-hmm.
These are all visual cues
Yeah.
that can tell us about the manufacturing process
Right.
and the tablet's overall quality.
And I imagine consistency is especially important
Oh, absolutely.
when you're talking about large-scale
Right.
manufacturing.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking thousands, even millions
Yeah.
of tablets being produced from a single batch.
Right.
Any variation in appearance could signal a problem.
Yeah.
So, and speaking of consistency,
Yes.
tablet thickness and weight variation are also really important.
Okay.
Small deviations can indicate inconsistencies in the manufacturing process.
Okay.
Like maybe the dyes aren't being filled uniformly,
Right.
or variations in the compression force.
Interesting. So it's like a tiny little assembly line.
It is.
Where every piece has to be
That's right.
perfectly placed.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's this whole question of content uniformity.
Yes, that's a big one.
Like, does each tablet actually contain the right amount of medication?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a crucial one.
Yeah.
Because, imagine the consequences if some tablets had too much drug and others had too little.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's why content uniformity testing is so rigorous.
Okay.
You got to make sure every tablet delivers a consistent and an accurate dose.
It's all about precision,
Mm-hmm.
predictability,
Wow.
making
Yeah.
sure each pill performs exactly as expected.
Exactly.
But it's not just about the chemical composition.
Right.
The tablet itself needs to be physically
You're
robust,
You
right?
got to be strong.
Yeah,
They have to withstand handling, packaging, shipping
right.
without crumbling or breaking.
Yeah. Nobody wants to open their pill bottle
Right.
and find just a pile of powder.
Exactly. Nobody wants a pile of dust.
Yeah, that's where friability testing comes in.
Friability testing, yes.
Which sounds like a very delicate way of saying, how easily does this tablet crumble?
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
And the friability test is almost kind of comical
Okay.
to imagine. You basically put the tablets in a rotating drum
Oh,
and tumble them
okay.
for a certain amount of time.
Okay.
And then you weigh them to see how much material has been chipped away or broken off.
Oh, so like a little rock tumbler for pills.
Exactly. Yeah, like a tiny rock tumbler.
I like that.
And a good tablet will have a low friability value, ideally less than 1%.
So the less dust and debris,
Yeah.
the better.
The more robust the
The
tablet.
robust.
Yeah. What about hardness?
Oh, yeah. Hardness?
Is that measured?
Yeah. How do they measure hardness?
So tablet hardness is exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
How much force does it take to break the tablet?
Okay.
And this is where things get kind of interesting because
Okay.
different types of tablets have different hardness requirements.
Right. Like a chewable tablet's going to be much softer than a time release.
Exactly. Right. A chewable tablet needs to break down easily in your mouth,
Yeah.
whereas a sustained release tablet needs to hold up to that journey through your digestive system.
Right.
So a typical oral tablet has a hardness of around 4 to 10 kilograms.
Interesting.
And finding that sweet spot is important.
Yeah.
If the tablet's too hard, it might not disintegrate properly.
Right.
And if it's too soft, it could crumble during handling.
So don't try this at home, folks, but like
Why don't do this at home?
next time you take a pill, just think about how much pressure it would take to
Yeah, to crush it.
crush it between your fingers.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then there's tensile strength.
Ah, Yes, tensile strength.
That one's a bit more technical.
Okay.
It measures how much pulling force a tablet can handle before it breaks apart.
Okay.
So imagine pulling a tablet from opposite ends.
Yeah.
How much resistance would you feel before it snapped in two?
Right.
That's its tensile strength.
Okay, so it's a way to assess
Yeah, the internal strength.
the internal strength
And cohesiveness.
and cohesiveness.
Of the tablet.
Okay.
So we've covered how the tablet looks, its weight,
Yeah.
its ability to withstand tumbling, crushing,
Right.
pulling it apart.
We've put it through the ringer.
Yeah. Are there any other tests?
There are.
Oh,
So we've covered those physical aspects, but there are two more crucial tests
okay.
that really focus on how the tablet behaves once you swallow it.
Okay, this is the real deal now.
This is it.
Okay.
Disintegration and dissolution.
Okay, so disintegration is basically how quickly the tablet breaks apart
Exactly.
in your stomach.
Yeah, in your digestive system.
Is it like watching a sugar cube dissolve in water?
It's a good analogy.
Okay.
So the disintegration test uses this apparatus
Okay.
called a basket rack apparatus.
A baguette rack. Okay.
Yeah, and it moves up and down in a fluid
Okay.
that mimics, your gastric juices.
And the time it takes for the tablet to completely break down
Mm-hmm.
is carefully measured.
And are there, specific time limits?
There are, yeah,
Okay.
depending on the type of tablet.
So, a regular tablet would disintegrate faster than a coated tablet.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uncoated tablets typically need to disintegrate within 15 minutes,
Okay.
whereas coated tablets have a longer time limit,
Right.
usually 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then you have enteric-coated tablets,
Yeah.
which are designed to bypass the stomach,
Right.
dissolve in the intestines.
Right.
Those can take hours to disintegrate.
Wow.
Yeah, in acidic conditions.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Each tablet's designed with its own little journey in mind.
it is.
Yeah.
But, breaking apart isn't the end goal, right?
Right, because the drug still has to be
Exactly.
released and absorbed.
Yes, that's where dissolution comes in.
Dissolution.
Dissolution.
Okay.
This test measures how much of the drug actually dissolves into solution over time, which tells us about its bioavailability.
Okay.
How much of the drug is actually available for your body to use?
So it's like watching the drug escape from its tablet prison
That's a great way to put it. I like that.
and become available to do its job.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
The most common method uses a rotating basket apparatus.
Okay.
So you put the tablet in a basket,
Okay.
spins in a vessel filled with fluid.
Okay.
That again simulates those digestive juices,
Okay.
and then samples of the fluid are taken at intervals,
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of dissolved drug is measured.
So we've got disintegration, which is how quickly the tablet breaks apart.
Yeah.
Dissolution, how much of the drug actually dissolves.
Right.
Like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. They work together,
Yeah.
to ensure that the drug is released
Well,
effectively.
effectively, yeah.
And all of these tests together,
Mm-hmm.
along with those mechanical tests,
Right.
the general appearance evaluation,
Mm.
they paint this comprehensive picture of the tablet's quality. But before we move on,
Yes.
there's one more crucial aspect I think we need to discuss.
What's that?
Compatibility concerns.
Yes.
Dr. Hassan really emphasized that
Yeah.
the ingredients in a tablet can interact with each other,
Right.
and even with the drug itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a delicate balancing act. You have to consider not only the properties of each ingredient,
Right.
but also how they behave when they're combined.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So, for instance, calcium salts can interfere with the absorption of tetracycline antibiotics.
Okay.
Amine bases can react with lactose, causing discoloration.
Interesting.
And some absorbents can actually bind to low-dose drugs,
Okay.
reducing their effectiveness.
So even though they're inactive ingredients,
Right.
they can still have a big impact.
Absolutely.
It's like a really complex recipe.
Yeah,
Where even a tiny pinch of the wrong spice
exactly.
can ruin the whole dish.
That's a great analogy.
And that's why pharmaceutical scientists, they spend so much time on these pre-formulation studies.
Absolutely.
Just to make sure they're not adding something that's going to mess everything up.
Right. They have to carefully evaluate the compatibility of different ingredients
Mm-hmm.
before they finalize a tablet's composition.
It's fascinating
It is.
how much science goes into something that we so often take for granted.
We really do.
Yeah.
Take it for granted.
Yeah, it really is incredible when you think about all the different factors involved in designing a tablet.
I know. It's like
It's like a tiny,
Self-contained.
yeah, like a tiny little self-contained delivery system,
Mm-hmm.
just engineered with this incredible precision.
It is. And it really speaks to, the dedication and the expertise of all those pharmaceutical scientists out there
Totally.
working to make sure that the medicines we rely on are safe,
Yeah.
effective,
Mhm.
and consistent.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up our deep dive into tablet preparation, what are some key takeaways that you hope our listener is walking away with today?
Well, I hope they've, gained a new appreciation
Yeah.
for the complexity of
Yeah.
tablet formulation.
Right.
It's not as simple as just,
Right.
compressing a drug into a solid form.
Right. It's not just smashing some powder together.
No, not at all. It's a carefully orchestrated process
Yeah.
of selecting and balancing all these ingredients
Mm-hmm.
to create a product that meets all those requirements we've been talking about.
Right. Like we've really pulled back the curtain on this whole hidden world of
Yes.
excipients.
The unsung heroes,
The unsung heroes. I love that.
each playing their own specific role
Yeah.
in making sure that the medicine is delivered properly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole world of tablet testing.
Oh, yeah. That's so important.
Right, which ensures the quality and the consistency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Friability, hardness, disintegration, dissolution.
All those tests
All those tests.
working together
Yeah, to make sure.
to guarantee that each tablet
Yeah.
measures up to the standards.
It's like a multi-stage inspection process.
Yeah.
Each test making sure that the tablet is
Mm.
structurally sound, chemically stable,
Right.
and capable of actually doing what it's supposed to do,
Absolutely.
delivering that medication as intended.
Yeah. That's something to think about next time you take a pill,
I know. Right.
Behind that simple act of swallowing a pill,
Yeah.
there's this whole fascinating blend of science and engineering and
Mhm.
really a deep commitment to patient well-being.
Well said. Now, before we sign off, I have one final thought-provoking question for our listener.
Okay.
We've been focused pretty much on conventional tablets, right?
Right, the kind you swallow.
Yeah, the kind you swallow.
Yeah.
But the world of drug delivery goes way beyond just those little pills, right?
It does. Oh, there's a whole universe
Yeah.
of drug delivery systems out there.
So many options.
Yeah, like chewable tablets, effervescent tablets, sublingual tablets that dissolve under your tongue,
Oh, yeah.
and then capsules, patches, inhalers, injectables.
It's incredible how many different ways
Yeah.
there are to get medicine into your body.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you think, how do all these principles we've been talking about,
Yeah.
the excipients, the compatibility, the testing,
Right.
how do those apply to these other forms of drug delivery?
Right. It's a great point. So, like, imagine
Yeah.
the level of ingenuity and problem solving that
Mhm.
must go into creating like a time release patch
Yeah.
or an inhaler
Right.
that delivers medicine directly to the lungs.
It's incredible. It's a real testament to human creativity,
Totally.
and that ongoing quest to find, better, more targeted ways to deliver medicine.
Absolutely. Well, on that note of ongoing exploration,
Yeah,
I think we've reached the end
I think so.
of our deep dive today.
It's been fun.
It has. I hope you've enjoyed this journey into the world of tablet preparation.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listener, keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and never stop learning.
That's right.
There's a whole world of fascinating knowledge out there,
Agreed.
just waiting to be discovered.
Until next time.
See